Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and situation report for the day of 859 for the 1st of July. We're going to start off with the frontline changes report. We have quite a number of changes again. Every day there is frontline changes. Novosibirsk, Makiivka, Nevelsk, Yekhanivka, Sokyu, and Kharkivka. All of them are red. Russian taking grounds in all these various locations. There is no Ukrainian uh, taking positions. So we're going to go into Novosibirsk over at this Sviatove front or Kupiansk front region. So there is a geolocation. Sorry, actually this is actually yellow. So let me read. So this is actually yellow. So yes, Ukrainians actually did take location positions. So this actually invalidates this geolocation of Ukrainian forces actually invalidates Russian claims. So Ukrainian forces actually have this position at least along this tree line, so invalidating previous Russian claims in the region of Berestove or north of Novosibirsk. So this is the region. So I put it in the wrong color. So I thought there isn't any Ukrainian one. What if all of them are Ukrainian? What if all of them is blue and yellow? Let's see. No, so no, you have to press the like button. So anyway, we're going to go into Makiivka. The next frontline change is over at Makiivka, just north of the Karmina region. Over at Makiivka, this one, there's not this geolocation, but there is actually Russian capture. Based on Deep State UA's mapping, Russian forces have taken the entire tree line and they have arrived basically at the outskirts of Makiivka, and which means that the next jump is going to be the Battle of Makiivka. So the Russian forces basically have come super near. As you can see, basically they're just off the settlement. They will be able to attack into the settlement in the next jump. So very significant change around here. The terrain here is pretty complicated because of the river. There's a Zerebes river crossing all over the place. So I think this is a bit complicated around this area here. The next frontline change is over at Nevelsk. So Nevelsk is over at, I think it's not Nevelsk. It should be, no, Nevelsk should be below Yekhanivka. So over at the DFK front, there is some massive frontline changes. So over at Yekhanivka region, based on Ukrainian mapping, the Russian forces have taken yet another tree line around here, expanding their control north of Yekhanivka. However, in the south of Sokyu, there is a geolocation of Russian forces over this very edge of this junction of the tree line, which is makes it very complicated because we do not know if the Russians actually come from the north or from the east, or could it be they come from all of the direction, capturing all of this tree line. So tentatively, this is what I'm going to be mapping. I'm going to map it as the full capture of this entire area south of Sokyu, because either way, if they come from here, the Ukrainian forces here is going to be encircled. If the Russians come from this other direction, the Ukrainian forces over here is also encircled. So there is no good way to draw this in a way that it makes logical sense. I think it is just a full capture of this area with the Ukrainian forces already evacuated from these positions, because the Russian forces have already expanded the control over in the Sokyu region. So which is why I don't think it's feasible for the Ukrainians to hold any positions along all these three lines. So that's the situation over here at the Sokyu. So for the north of Yekhanivka, as you can see, basically this entire entrenchment, oops, sorry, accidental zoom. So this entire entrenchment here is basically gone. I don't think Ukrainian forces are there anymore, and the Russian forces have already expanded their control in the north, in the northern region. So this is basically going to mean that they're going to secure even more grounds, more buffer zone around this area. But of course, Yekhanivka, we have two major entrenchment in the rear, so should be quite safe, at least for now, if the Ukrainians choose to stay there. The next frontline change is over at Nevelsk. So finally, this salient here finally start to collapse based on the mapping. Did I map it correctly? Give me a second, let me check. Sorry, I checked. So basically, I put the wrong source. It's actually Deep State UA. The pro-Ukrainian mapping shows that the Russian forces have taken this entire salient here, finally close up this area. It take way longer than I expected. So the Ukrainian forces basically have done a very good job around here, holding back the Russian forces. But the Russians now marches on. So we shall see how this develop. And these are all the frontline changes report. And based on the frontline changes report over the past 24 hours, the Russian forces is winning. So, yeah, some people miss the tiny SITREP. I just come in and tell you who wins. But yeah, I'm still pondering how to manage that. So yeah, whatever it is, we're gonna go into the strategy and tactical reporting. And one of the biggest news or trending news came out from the Ukraine war was the Russian strike at the Mihorod Air Base. So at this in Mihorod Air Base, this area here, the Russian forces spotted Sukhoi 27s, Ukrainian Sukhoi 27s on the ground, and they basically got struck by cluster munitions. And so this was first geolocated by Crimean Caprice of the footage, and then according to Rybar, the pro-Russian source reported at least 6 Sukhoi 27 was destroyed or damaged. And according to the Russian Defense Ministry, the official statement was that 5 Sukhoi 27 was destroyed and 2 that were repaired were damaged. So that's 7. But according to two majors and other pro-Russian source, they say that 2 Sukhoi 27 is destroyed and 4 are disabled. So you can choose whatever truth you like. Everyone have a different kind of statement. So whatever it is a devastating blow for the Ukrainians. Entire squadron of Sukhoi 27 got taken out of action, and I believe these are the ones that is helping out with the fighting around the Kharkiv front, where the Ukrainian forces launched sortie and basically bombard Russian forces. And I think this is going to reduce the number of air support coming from the Ukrainian side. It's going to be quite devastating for the Ukrainian forces on the ground. Moving into the Kharkiv front, at the Kharkiv front, we have continued fighting around this. In the Kharkiv front, we're fighting reported at Hotivka, Lipsy, Nakushny, Voschansk, and Taike, with Ukrainian forces counter-attacking over in the east of Taike, of Voschansk. I think the arrow is a bit thick, too thick. No, too thick. I prefer slender one. So there is fighting reported, or at least shelling reported at Hotivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. It might be just shelling, it might be an incursion, or just the DRGs, which is recon or special ops kind of thing. Not sure. So over at the Lipsy sector, which is over here, the Lipsy sector, the Russian forces are attacking in the direction of Lipsy. They are conducting the offensive in this area. Ukrainian forces are gathering forces near Klipoke. This is information coming from pro-Russian sources. However, I think they are trying to plan for some future offensive towards Klipoke. However, there is geolocation of some FPV drone strike, as well as a Russian airstrike on this position north of Lipsy, which might be the one that was being mentioned by two majors about the gathering of forces in near to Klipoke. And so it could be the case which is why it was attracting all this attention from drones and airstrikes. So we will continue to monitor this area. Nekushny continues to show up on our radar. We're fighting reported on the on the past 24 hours. Again, this is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. It's 3 consecutive days already. There is either bombardment or attack in this area here at Nekushny. So moving on, there's shelling reported at Zamulivka, or Zovneve, by another name, not important. Over at the Voschansk sector, Russian forces are still conducting offensive operations in the area of Voschansk. Ukrainian forces counterattack in the eastern part of Voschansk, and the Russian forces are fighting in the area of Taike as well. So this is the current situation. There is a airstrike reported south of this bridge, airstrike, and yeah, which means that the Ukrainians have some forward positions over here to support their offensive, north of this the river, the Voschar River. But yeah, that is the general tactical situation around this area. Um, zooming out, I think there's a Fab 3000 getting hit, dropped on Starry Saltiv. We haven't seen this name for a long time, Starry Saltiv, and it got really salty after getting hit by 3000 bomb, 3000 kg bomb. So but this is a bit far. I'm not sure what's the intention. Might be some very important the place that was getting struck. If not, why strike something so far away? Near over at Zakharivka, there is actually Ukrainian Grad launcher getting destroyed. So otherwise, that's about it. We move into the Kupiansk. At the Kupiansk front, we have the Russian Defense Ministry declare the capture of Stepova Novoselivka. As usual, due to the lack of supporting evidence or mapping, we cannot map this as capture. We can only put it as an announcement. While there is still reports of fighting around in this area, Ryba reported that this is based on some reports that the town is captured, which means that they can't even confirm this. They're not sure. So we're going to just leave it as this. Over at Terbaivka, we have a geolocation of airstrike or mortar strike around here near Terbaivka, which is previously captured by Russian forces. So yeah, nothing much there. Over at Novoselivsky, as mentioned, there is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces invalidating part of the Russian claims. And then we move into the Sviatove front. At Stemakivka, there is fighting around here. So Deep State UA has corroborated this mapping around here. And two majors, the pro-Russian source reported about the fighting east of Stemakivka. So they basically reported about this Russian advance over here. And basically, we are going to see the Russians basically enter into Stemakivka, starting the battle of Stemakivka. Maybe it had already started. We do not know because report can lag. So we just wait and see. And zooming out, we go to Makiivka. And Makiivka is basically exactly the same situation with Stemakivka, with the Russian forces taking one of these tree lines, allowing them to basically have a little tip, a little bit of the tip go into this settlement. And they promised that they will not go in. No, I'm just joking. They were 100% they were going to go in all the way. And so the over in the northern part, there was a guided helicopter missile strike in the northern part. So the attack helicopters are supporting the operation around here. So is sometimes I'm not sure who is trained by NATO. Sometimes it feels like the Russians are like fighting more NATO-ish than the Ukrainians. And just south of Makiivka, there is fighting reported at Nevsky. So this is part of probably the same operation around this area. So that's all we know for now. We move on. Over at the Serbiansky Forestry, there is only geolocation of a Russian strike on Ukrainian position inside the forest. There is no active fighting being reported. So we move on to the Sivas front. At the Sivas front, shelling reported at Serebianka. Russian forces are still attacking in the area of Sperne. They are encountering resistance from the Ukrainians, so it's not a full clear capture. Russian forces are now moving north of Rozdolivka. So at the Rozdolivka region, it looks like because based on the information from two majors, they reported that they are moving north of Rozdolivka, and I believe they are trying to capture this area here, the high ground. So the Russian forces moving north of Rozdolivka makes perfect sense. Capturing this area here will present the Russian with superior tactical and strategic advantage in this sector of the front line. So we will wait and see. I think the battle of Perezne is going to come very, very soon at this rate. So we move into the Bakhmut front. At the center sector, center flank, the Russian forces are attacking Krykhorovka and in the region of Chasivya. So very vague information. We don't have much around here. There is geolocation, however, of a Sukhoi 25 strike. I think it's a rocket barrage on Ukrainian positions in Novi. This is Novi. So that's about it. I would say from this area. I think in the south there's nothing over the Bakhmut front. Over at the New York front, the Torres offensive is still ongoing. So Russian forces continue to attack in the eastern regions of Toretsk, which is over here. This Toretsk. Russian forces are attacking Druzhba, Pivnishny, and over in the area of Shumi. We still do not have any information or mapping or details regarding the tunnel warfare that the Russians have deployed. We do have a geolocation of Russian using the TOS, the thermobaric rockets on Ukrainian positions near the front line. So looks really serious. The Russians look super serious about this offensive, bringing on the big weaponry, the heavier weaponries to support their operation. So it looks like they are very determined to draw in Ukrainian forces into New York front. Yeah, and I'm just not sure if the Ukrainians have the spare manpower to conduct this kind of urban warfare, because everything here now on is going to be urban warfare. You see, it's just buildings everywhere. So, and you need very well trained troops to fight FIBOA, fighting in build up area. So typical untrained troops, they're just gonna die in the build up area battle. So not sure how they're going to deal with this, or they're going to do some heavy training for this mobilized troops or the less trained troops to be able to fight in urban warfare. It's freaking scary, and it's very, very difficult to fight in this kind of build up area. So I'm not sure how they're going to manage it. According to the pro-Russian sources, they reported the Russians are attacking from the south towards New York. So this is a new direction the Russians are pushing. We haven't have reported fighting around here since the 4th of March, and the previous one was already in September last year. So this area is usually a very quiet front, and looks like the Russians are starting to fight in this area. So we will just continue to monitor whether this will become even more serious, because if there is a major push coming out from the south, and then you have another push over here, oh my god, I don't want to be a Ukrainian commander. We move into the Adivka front. At the Adivka front, currently we are seeing the operations in two halves. So one in the area of Sokyu, another one in the south. So in the center flank or center sector of this region, as mentioned in the frontline changes report, we have already seen all these reports. The Russians are now fighting towards Yekhanivka, Voskod, or Voskod. Yeah, in the area of Sokyu, and then they are fighting in the area of Novoporovsky. And according to the Russian Defense Ministry, they announced the capture of Novoporovsky. But we have already announced the capture since the 13th of June, so not particularly something new. The Russian forces over here is under attack by Ukrainian drones. So these are firm Russian forces around here. It's not, they are not like, yeah. what I'm trying to push. So anyway, there is also FPV drone strike on Ukrainians. So Ukrainians are here. So very close quarter fighting. There is a heavy entrenchment here that the Ukrainians could hold this position. And there is also more at Yekhanivka. Very heavy defenses around here. Not sure why so heavy. Let's look at the yeah, I can see why now. So because there's a high ground here, so which is why the Ukrainians have the defensive the defensive entrenchment around here, overlooking this area. And then there's another one here, basically is on the something like a hilltop or a high ground. So the Ukrainians have the high ground, maybe, but the Russians are basically taking them. Nevertheless, they are better than Darth Vader. So that's the current strategic situation over at this front line. And we move on. There is FPV drone strike of a pickup truck far behind. Not important. Over at this southern part, as mentioned, Russian forces have closed up part of this salient over at Nevelsky. There is fighting reported from the Netelove towards the Isthmus, and also the Russians attacking at Kalivka. Geolocation of Russian forces south of Netelove confirmed that the Russians indeed is in this area here. I'm not sure if they want to push south. Probably not. So let's look at the Netelove region a bit slightly closer. Looking at this area, you can see that the Russian forces position here wouldn't matter a lot. It's not going to be an easy crossing, I guess. Maybe, I'm not sure. So at least there's a river defense, river area, so the Ukrainian forces can defend this area. Russian forces' attention is pretty much around the Kalovsky Reservoir. So that's without doubt the main objective, because it's not important to capture this area here. To be honest, Russian forces can continue to just leapfrog around in the rear position, and this entire front line will just collapse on its own due to Ukrainian forces feeling totally paranoid about this. Because in this direction, Russian forces can go for Selidove. That would be a very critical place to capture. With this captured, this entire area is gone. It's going to be very hard to resupply, and this other push around here is going for Pokrov. So, and with Pokrov and Selidove, the entire front line here will just collapse, and there's nothing much behind, I will guess. So it is possible, but I'm not sure how serious are the Russians. Sometimes the Russians do things that they don't feel very serious. They feel like they're just playing around. So the Russian forces will do this pincer, capture this heavy entrenchment, and that will secure Kalivka. But we shall see how this develops. And we move further south. Over at the Battle of Krasnohorivka, we have a TOS geolocated thermobaric strike in the middle of Krasnohorivka. Basically, the battle continues. We don't have much details about the Battle of Krasnohorivka, and we move on. Over at the Konstantinivka region, Russian forces are attacking in the Paraskoviyevka and Konstantinivka region. Various geolocation or TOS strike. So the Russians are heavily using thermobaric strikes around here. They are going to totally destroy any defenses, which then the Russian forces, the assault groups, can basically go through the rest of the remaining forces like hot knife through butter. I use an idiom. Anyway, in the south of Konstantinivka, there is also thermobaric strike. So the Russians are getting going hammer with their thermobaric missiles. Looks like they really invested on and build up a lot of ammunition and new equipments for this weapon type. Clearly, early in the war, it have shown that its effectiveness, which encouraged the Russian forces to invest a lot more into this. This is what I think, and probably it's pretty cheap. I mean, compared to effectiveness and the cost of the ammunition, I think it's considered cheap for the Russian forces to deploy it. I think that's what I think. Russian forces are attacking in the area of Mikhailsky, in the Voleda region. This is Voleda. That's all. We don't have much about this info. And over at the Velika Novoselka sector, Russian forces are attacking north of Staromayorsky, and they are still trying to attack Uruzaine. So that's the usual. We don't have much new things about here. And we move into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, this is Zaporizhia city, and the Zaporizhia front, there is some fighting around in the Orkiv sector. Russian forces are attacking in the area of Robotine, and that also in the area of Novoporovska. So that's about it in this area. There's a RBK strike. And what is RBK? I think it's a cluster bomb kind of thing. I'm not sure, but anyway, I did see a cluster bomb video. But basically there was a strike around here hitting Ukrainian forces. So Ukrainian defense along this tree line, yeah, makes sense, makes perfect sense. Shall we look at the terrain? Yeah, it's a bit hilly. This on the high ground. So that makes sense, the Ukrainians to attack that position. So this is the Surovikin line. This is the only part that the Ukrainians have captured in terms of the Surovikin line. And that there's a forward line further in front. That is part of the original Russian defense line. This is the forward position. So the Russians still have not recaptured what they have lost. So yeah, we move into the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, we have some geolocated airstrike at the Bukhunka, and then another airstrike reported at Ponyativka. Russian forces, Russian Defense Ministry reported shelling at Tokarivka. So we have strikes, and strikes. Yeah, not important, not important. And so two majors continue to report about the fighting on the islands, and I decided to put a new icon over here to just signify the islands, because there is no clear indication where the fighting actually is, and this is a very very long river. There's so many islands around here, so I just gonna put it here in the river delta region. So there's a river delta here, and because this might also be the area that they are fighting in. So I just gonna indicate here, and then we go to just hunt them and throw all these reports in this area here. And yeah, that's about it. So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 859 for the 1st of July. Do press the like button, subscribe. The report is slightly late today because I had a really long day. I wasn't able to sleep, very stressed. So that's why support me by pressing the like button, subscribe, sharing helps to make me less stressed. I'll see you guys in the next update.